We've all been there, haven't we? Where we just start a new routine, start a new habit, maybe even a business idea. And for like a week or two, it feels exciting, it's cool, it's new. But then the motivation just kind of disappears. And then the progress just kind of disappears as well. We kind of drag ourselves through this process repeatedly, wondering whether we're actually doing anything and actually getting anywhere. But the thing is, progress doesn't have to be this uphill battle. What we actually need is a bit of momentum that won't carry us through just the first initial days, but something that will compound and build over time as we build ourselves or the project that we're working on at the time. And you're probably thinking, well, I'm gonna do this for a week and then just go back to it like usual. No, this can be fixed. It just needs the right approach and a side of consistency. There is a process that I myself use quite often whenever I've got a lot to do, and it works for me time and time again, and it does make progress feel that little bit easier. So let's break down exactly how you can incorporate this into your routine so you can start making progress so fast it basically feels illegal. So the process actually follows three things. Firstly, we simplify, then we stack, and then we scale. So in step one, we simplify. A lot of people tend to overcomplicate a lot of things when there really isn't any need to, because you don't need to try and build 10 habits at once or chase 5 different goals simultaneously to then be left wondering why nothing actually sticks. Because progress feels a lot faster when we just stick to one thing clearly, and simplifying it will allow you to do that. So just strip it back. Things don't need to be complex. If you're trying to lose weight, well, you calculate your maintenance calories and you minus 200 to 300. Maybe more, maybe less. But either way, the same principle applies. You wanna read more books? Well then, actually start reading. Just put some time aside or give yourself a goal to read 5 or 10 pages every single day. It doesn't have to be complex, but it will compound over time. You want more energy? Well then just sleep more. Set an alarm, not for when to wake up, but when to actually start getting ready for bed, or actually be in bed. No screens or things that trigger dopamine before going to sleep, and watch how much more fresh you wake up the following morning. If you're gonna get something done, try those things. Simplify them, follow them for 2 to 3 months, and I can guarantee you there will be changes. And a lot of people will say, well, it's not that simple. Well, I'm gonna respond that yes, it is. Step number 2. This is where we start stacking. We've got the simple action locked in, we know what we're doing, we know what we're working for. Now we can combine things together, because it's all about doing things together that we already do every single day or most days in the week. Because for example, if your goal is to walk 4K steps a day, but also you want to read more, well, you can listen to an audiobook whilst walking. If you're trying to save more money, you can do both of those things whilst putting away money into a savings pot every single month. It just piggybacks onto something that you're already doing all the time. And that's why it sticks, because it's easy and allows you to remain consistent. Step number 3, we scale. This is where it actually gets a little bit exciting, because we're just taking what we're doing, we're just gonna do more, or we're gonna do it, but better. Once the baseline feels natural, we can start turning up the intensity. Not all at once, small steps at a time, so it doesn't feel overwhelming, and then you'll actually want to stick with it. However, not too slow, so we're not actually feeling like we're falling behind, to keep that excitement just right. So to follow on from the last example of wanting to get more steps in, you might find yourself that after a certain amount of time of doing more steps, going to the gym, maybe attending something like football, you're gonna find yourself wanting to start running, because that will be the next step up from walking, right? You're gonna start going for lighter jogs, eventually maybe longer ones, maybe even work up to a marathon. You don't know that until you actually try. However, the possibilities are there, because we simplify it, then we stack it, and then we scale it. And each individual step will feel natural as a progression from the previous one. You just have to give it time and remain consistent with it. So why does this even matter? Well, when I began this whole self-improvement, self-healing, self-help journey, I tried to do everything at once, and I was just consuming so much information. I just got overwhelmed, and I just kind of ended up shutting myself in my room, just doing nothing but gaming for an entire month and I didn't really go anywhere. And then that entire month that I spent doing nothing made me feel like I was even further behind than when I started. And that is when I decided I need to create some sort of system that will actually allow me to just keep it going and stay consistent with what I'm doing. That's when I started simplifying it. So instead of listening to all the information out there, because obviously don't get me wrong, everybody's gonna have to say something. Everybody has their own thing to share and their own wisdom. I just picked select few individuals that are gonna be like, right, I'm just gonna follow these guys. I like these the most, I'm just gonna stick with their stuff. I don't really care what anyone says. They can say whatever they want. I'm just gonna stick with a limited amount of information, not to overload myself. Once all of that was sorted, I don't follow the next steps and I'm here today. I don't need to follow anybody. I just have my own little formula. I keep it going and it works. It may not work for you. You might have found something different and that's absolutely okay. Once again, I'm just another guy sharing his wisdom. You may not like it. You may not fit in with it, or it might work amazingly for you, but you'll never know until you try. So remember, if you want to make progress so fast it feels illegal, you don't need to do more. You just need to do less. Definitely initially. Don't add more to your plate. Take away the noise and take away things that don't really matter. Because although grinding hard and putting in the hours is important, it's mostly about building something that will allow you to create momentum so you can just keep going. Because chipping away every single day for 500 days is going to do a lot more than doing something ever so often for the same amount of time. Because once that momentum sets in, once you're in that flow state, progress will no longer feel like this uphill battle. It'll feel natural and it'll be much, much easier to maintain. So I'm gonna need you to make a decision today. Instead of trying to chase some sort of hack or some sort of special method, just commit to the process and stick with it. We're gonna simplify, then we're gonna stack, and then we're gonna scale. Do that and I can promise you that results will come eventually, because we've got everything we need already. It's just about using it properly. As always, I wish you the best of luck and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.